This episode is sponsored by the one membership by Template Monster. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the HTML All Things Podcast, episode number 74, Year-End Roundup 2019, not to be confused with Roundup, the weed killer. I'm your host, Matt Lawrence, and I'm joined again by my co-host, Mike Coran. If you've been enjoying the podcast so far and you want to support us, there's a couple ways you can do that. Review us on that Apple Podcast or the podcast platform that you're listening to this on. Check us out on Patreon with just a couple of tiers right now, but the $3 tier will give you a shout out in the podcast, and we'll share a link to your website in the show notes. And the most important one is just to tell your friends or anyone else you know that is interested in web development that we are here, ready to be listened to, and if you or your friends are ready to go a step further, join our Discord server. Discord server is well over 300 members now, and it will be a topic in this episode as well, so join up, and you can discuss anything from web development to video games to movies to whatever you want to talk about. But anyway, Weekly Pain Point, Mike, please take it away.
All right. Well, I mean, I think this kind of resonates with everyone, but stressful holidays. Just the fact that you're constantly doing stuff, you got to balance kind of, I mean, for me, especially right now, I have to kind of balance work and holidays. Work isn't too intensive, but I still have to maintain a couple things here and there, get on some calls, and then I have to go to my holiday dinners. I had already 3 Christmas dinners, and then I have another one coming up. Yeah, it's intense. Like it's a lot of family stuff, and usually with family you have some like disagreements and everyone's asking each other questions and getting pissed off sometimes. So it can get stressful, and that was really the pain point that I've been having over the last couple of weeks. We didn't have an episode last week, I guess.
Well, it was right on Christmas.
We were all busy. Yeah, it was directly on Christmas, and it would have done terribly anyway. So hopefully you'll be listening to this, I guess, in the new year.
No, so I'm gonna release this slightly before New Year's, so if you're listening
Perfect.
to this, it won't be on the normal Wednesday, just because it's year-end roundup.
Yeah,
and
makes
then
sense.
we'll go back to our normal schedule in the new year. It's just this is sort of our holiday episode, pretty much.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Cool.
yeah. So actually, I have a question about that. Then I know this is off topic, but like, why is it that people, and like we do this too, why is it that people do stressful things on holiday? Like when you're done work, people are like, if they're at work, like any of your family members or yourself, you're done work and you're like, I'm going on Christmas break or whatever you're doing, whether you do a shutdown or just a couple of days off, whatever it is, you do like a holiday break in there. And for some reason, people are just like, let's go do these 18 things and let's panic about these 18 things and let's get pissed off about what the other part of the family's doing. Why is it that we care? There's so many times where I'm just like, that person just wants to like, I don't know, like downgrade their career or like, that's usually the thing that people get pissed off about, at least in my family. It's like they think people are downgrading or something. It's just like, why don't you just who cares? Like, I don't know whether maybe that's not good. Like if they asked for help, it'd be different. It's just sort of like they're talking. I'm not gonna get mad about what they're doing. If they decided to suddenly become a circus clown when they were like the director of like a major company, I'd be like, all right. It's literally to that degree. Like I literally don't care.
Yeah, I don't get it either. And I don't know why it always it springs up on the holidays because you're seeing each other so often and stuff like that, I guess. But I don't get the judgment, and I don't get the pressure to always attend these things either. Like if you don't attend, you're viewed as someone that doesn't attend family events, and like, why is he not attending? And people are going to be talking about it if you're there. So it's a weird dynamics. Like sometimes you're just not in the mood, but you can't, like, no one can ever say that and have that as a valid excuse, which in my opinion, it should be a valid excuse sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's a weird, it's a very strange situation because they wouldn't care if someone on the street that they didn't know, I mean, obviously they know you, but if they didn't know this person and this person downgraded, maybe they'd be like, oh, that's weird. Or like if like a person that they worked with, so a colleague, but not like a friend, if they miss an event, there might be like a thing where it's like, oh, he always misses events, but that would be the end of the gossip. But for some reason, when it comes to family, it's just sort of like, that person never attends. What are they doing? Do they have like a more busy schedule? Like, let's pump the brakes here a bit. Like, who cares at this point?
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't. Well, my weekly pain point is actually headache-filled holidays. So I wasn't debilitated. I was able to do everything. That was fine. But I found out via looking at one of my health apps on my phone that I had only slept about 6 hours across the 3 days on holidays. So it was weird because I wasn't actually tired, but I just had this like weird, very weak annoying headache the whole time. And I just didn't get it. I was like, oh, whatever, it's fine. And then what happened was I got like a couple hours of sleep or something like that before Boxing Day, because I always go out really early. And I did the same thing, and I like went out for Boxing Day, and I was okay in the morning, but then I was like kind of screwed by noon, and it got bad. Like at the end of the Boxing Day, it was bad. And I was like, what is going on here? And that's when I checked my app and was like, oh. And so shortly after that, involuntarily, I fell asleep on the couch for about 2-3 hours, and then woke up and like played some video games as I do, and then I passed out for a solid 12 hours after that. So that's my weekly pain point. It's not exactly technical, but it's accidentally self-induced, because usually I'm actually exhausted when I do that, and so I'm just like, oh, I'm tired, like I'm getting old, and so I just get pains now.
I think it was like a holiday adrenaline. Just you're constantly doing events and you just forget, you lose track of time because you're like, okay, I gotta go finish this and I gotta go do this and I gotta go pick that person up and I gotta go. I don't know. Like it's always like that for me too. I just sleep a lot less when it's like a million events lined up in a row.
That was probably it, because like I felt it was one of those moments too where I wasn't actually drinking a lot of coffee, which is weird, and like I was like really hyped up, like as if I was, and I was anxious a lot, and I was just like, I'm literally being anxious about nothing. Like I was consciously intercepting my anxiety and being like, I'm just like, but I think you're right. It's because it's like, go pick this person up, go pick this food up, go here. We got to like cook this thing. So we got to do this. And then we got to like pack these away for this person. We got to make sure this is wrapped and like, you know, the whole shebang. It's craziness. and then I was also like doing tail end work. So I did like a bunch of work over the nights before the holiday as well, to like make sure the holiday was like more clear, and I'm just doing like you're doing basic maintenance stuff. That's kind of what I'm doing. I'm just kind of messing around with stuff that isn't due right away, so it's like it's just craziness. But anyway, to get beyond this, because we're getting stuck on our weekly pain point here, we're going to be talking about our expectations, basically our year-end stuff like this, and then looking to 2020, so expectations versus reality of 2019, looking to 2020, that's our second segment there, and then we're going to be doing a personal word related. What does that mean? Apparently I wrote personal word related 2020 goals, changes, etc. So professional Microsoft Word related goals for 2020, which is our web news. But anyway, we're moving on. So our expectations. So last year we did discuss in the podcast some of our social media, podcast numbers, etc., expectations last year. So some of these expectations that I mentioned in this are going to not match up with what we said in that previous episode, because our goals, we always make ourselves are flexible and they change based on situation. So I'm gonna explain what's going on. So if you say like, hey, you didn't expect that many followers or whatever, yeah, well that's because things change, and we'll get into it. So our various properties that we're going to be covering here are our podcast, our Discord server, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, our website, YouTube, LinkedIn, Patreon. There's probably a couple others in there. And I want to just preface before I dive in here saying that this is going to be more of a conversational episode, in that we're going to discuss our personal expectations versus our personal, results this year. But this episode is going to be useful for people that are interested in sort of seeing how people in the real world, or at least how we break down a project and decide how to manipulate, like, oh, this changed, maybe we should try this. Hey, this changed, we should try this. So it's going to be more of like a learn to plan episode, I guess you could say. So we're not just going to be just blabbing on about us the whole time. So our podcast will start off with that. So our expectation was just straight up to grow. We didn't have an expectation. We didn't say 10,000 downloads or something. That's it. Boom. But one specific small kind of side goal that we had was to bulk up our episode downloads on Apple Podcasts, which were not very big, and yet Apple Podcasts itself is big. So our plan was to bulk that up, because it was fourth, I think, or something like that, fourth or fifth in our client list, like whoever's downloading what. I think Castbox was number 1 at the time. So our 2018 total downloads, so this is 2018, previous year, we started the show in July, and our episode downloads were at 5.9K downloads. As of writing the show notes, which I wrote a few days ago, our 2019 downloads were 61.8K.
Yeah.
So even though we started, like, what's July? July is the 7th month in the year, so approximately 50% through the year. Even though we started 50% through the year, it's not like this just grew from 5.9 to 12. This is 61.8K downloads. Take it away, Mike.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say it exceeded expectations. Just because we're a small, duo, we don't have any. I would say we don't have any notoriety, so I'm really happy with that number, and I'm really happy and thankful for everyone that's listening to this because you definitely contributed to that number and are still contributing to it. I don't know, like, what would you? Are we gonna do our goals right now, or are we gonna do that in the next segment, or should we do it for each one as we go?
I'll kind of actually ask you now, like, what you'd prefer to do. In the second segment here, I just have looking to 2020, and those are going to be specific goals, specific new things that we have going on in 2020. So if we want to discuss goals regarding these properties, I'd say go for it right now.
Let's do it. Okay. I want to say 100K for
20... like 100K just in 2020.
No, 100K like total, I think. I mean, that might be too passive of a goal, right? Because if we did 61, we essentially did what, like, almost 100% of our downloads this year.
Well, see, this is the thing is, and this is a good kind of general point for anyone out there. So because the number ballooned so quickly, or ballooned so much, we're not sure, as you can hear, we're not really sure. So right now we sit at, like, as of recording this now, we sit at 68,337 downloads total.
68,000. Okay.
Okay. So that's our total across 2018, 2019, and that little bit in between my show notes and today.
Okay.
But how I would say we need to break this down is the episodes. So the episodes are a smaller chunk, and the episodes kind of allow us to set goals per week and determine what we should be hitting per week instead of us waiting till the end of 2020 and being like, damn. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
I like
one
that.
thing that we learned is using good titles. So I know that, like, some titles are more editorial, if you will, where they're more based on what's covered in the episode, which is good, but they're not really searchable. And for people that don't listen to us on the daily basis, they actually just listen to us on, like, oh, I like that episode, or I'm interested in that topic. And they listen to us piecemeal. If there's no interest there, even if they would actually be interested in the topic of the episode. So more general, but, like, searchable titles is good. So for example, we could say the one episode we did, The Thing About WordPress. That's a good title because it hints at what our previous opinions were and how we talked about WordPress in the past of the episode. So anyone who listens to us gets a little bit more out of that title, but anyone who's interested in WordPress, which the general public in terms of web devs are, they would be able to read that episode title and come to us. So that's like a good episode title. There's a bunch of other ones too. I think Mike kind of started this trend. Like most in-demand web developer skills in 2019. That's a good one because people are looking at stuff that's 2019 based because it's the end of the year. You want to know what skills you should have, so people are going to type that in, being like, I need to learn this. And they're probably going to type in web developer skills 2020, and 2019 will show up because it's so close and 2020 is so new. So, like, anyone starting a new career or a new hobby in web development in the new year, that's a good title for them as well. So it's better than some of our older titles that's just like UX Mania, for example. UX Mania is exactly what that episode is about, and the episode's fine. There's no problem with the episode. But that's not a searchable title. Like, you're going to look at that and be like, UX Mania? Like, what are they talking about? Are they talking about, like, I don't know, typography? Like, what are they talking about? Just UX in general? And so it's a smaller subset of people that would want to be interested in that. So that's one big thing. So I think that I agree with you. I'd say 100K...
It's a little low. Okay. Now that you've said that, let me restate my prediction, or not my prediction, but what I want as a baseline. I think 1,000 downloads per episode a week in the first week. So right now we're usually hitting 700 to 800.
Yeah.
In that first week, I think 1,000 is realistic.
Yeah, I'd say that.
It would be nice to go over that, but I think if as long as we're in that range, that's a good base, and I'll be happy. You know, if I'm speaking to 1,000 people in the first week that we launch, obviously it goes up as it goes, as time goes on, because people find our old episodes, people find us, they listen through them one by one, stuff like that. But 1,000 people in that first week, I'm happy. You know what I mean? Like, that's 1,000 people that are listening to us and enjoying the podcast, hopefully, and providing us feedback. I think that's a good number to start, like, to grow even more on.
That's a good one, because I remember when we started in 2018, our downloads, when they very first started on the very first few episodes, it was like 23. I think it like grew to like 23, 25, and then we were trying to like gain for 50, and then we aimed for 100. So like that's a good I'd say that's a good amount.
Yeah.
And then I'm not going to do the math right now, but like, I mean, a thousand per episode immediately. And then obviously the same amount of like passive as people kind of trickle in would definitely boost it. Because if we just grow at the same amount, or even if we like stayed the same, 100K isn't enough. No. Like we're actually losing.
Yeah, we'd go back.
Losing listenership there. So, So I'd say that's a fair. That's a fair one. That's more attainable. 1,000 in the first 7 days of a release, like before the next one comes out.
Cool.
Next episode. The next thing is our Discord server. So we didn't really have much expectation with this, actually. We created this in May of 2019, so it wasn't the full year. Our expectations was none, like I said, just to grow it slowly, just kind of have it there. And I honestly thought this was just going to be a very small community for like 2 years, honestly. I thought it was going to be a very side thing. Well, this is completely blown out of the water. So we're sitting at over 300 members and counting. Mike and I, like when we get busy, which we have been over the holidays, haven't really been talking in there, but it was like still active until Christmas Eve when last time I saw it. And it's like that's it. Like it's still growing. There's people still showing up, but there's people still going. So that's huge. And a lot of them, which is really strange to me, is a lot of them don't even know about this podcast. A lot of them are just coming in due to a Medium article I wrote about, here's the links here, come join us. Here's a web development. A lot of people are just searching for web development Discord, which is an interesting thing to learn because I had no idea. And then hopefully a bunch of those people jumped on the bandwagon and, are also part of the show now as well. And I did talk to a few people and say like, hey, we have a podcast, right? No, what are you talking about? And so you kind of introduce them that way. So I don't really know what my goal is in terms of Discord this year, other than to maybe just let it grow because like it's doing way better than I could even think anyway.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Like I don't know what I'd want from it, but I definitely want a direction. I think my goal would be let's gauge the community and let's see what they want and let's provide it to them. You know what I mean? Like, do they want us to help them, find their first job? I mean, that's a very bold statement, obviously, and probably not possible. But
what's going on here? Indeed.com.
Do they want us to like help them start their careers in it? Do they want us to help learning from scratch? Do they want us to just kind of participate and answer questions? Because right now we're providing the structure, and then the Discord server is kind of self-contained and doing its own thing. Like you said, we haven't really been hands-on in the last few weeks or even the last month or so. I've been gone on vacation and work trips and stuff like that. You've been doing your other things. That's something that I want to change. I want to be way more involved with the Discord as it goes on. Like I am working on a coding challenge right now. That's coming up really soon and stuff like that. But I kind of want to find a direction for it that benefits our group. And my goal isn't to grow the Discord server, as more to help the people that are already there as much as possible, and by the byproduct of that, bring people on that are like-minded and want to participate in whatever we're doing, if that makes sense.
Basically to develop the community, not to and like allow it to grow.
Yes.
Don't just sit there and keep
I don't want to just bring on anyone, because like what I liked about our growth was it was a slow burn. It growed slow. But then it just kind of exponentially went up. But our first little bit, we got a really good set of core community members, and which are now moderators. Yeah. Plus, we'll probably add some more moderators in the future because we have more community members that are even continually contributing. And I think the benefit is for everyone gets the benefit: the moderators, the people that are helping, the people that are being helped. Because it's just like learning back and forth, the two-way learning system, and I want to facilitate that as much as possible, because I think that the value that this group provides, and something that isn't available everywhere, is that really low level of entry. So you don't have to be, there is no barrier to entry to enter our Discord server. The only thing you can't be is you can't be a dick. You can't be racist. You can't be the golden rules of, you have to follow the golden rules of society. But as long as you're willing to, help people and be helped, people on there are very much okay with any level of commitment to web development. So you can be a full-time web developer, you can be part-time, you can be just starting out, wherever you're at in your journey of web development, or even coding practices, whatever. People there are very much accepting of where you are. That's where I want to maintain I don't want to be locked down to a community of only starting web developers. I don't want to be locked down to a community of only senior web developers. Like, I want to be able to bring on whoever wants that openness, if that makes sense. And some people don't, and that's fine. Some people want to belong to a community that's, elite level community, and they only talk in elite language and stuff like that. And that's fine. I don't think that that's where we're going to be. I like the level that we're at right now, and that's what I want to kind of facilitate as much as possible.
I'd agree with that. I don't want to become another Stack Overflow or anything. Like, I don't want to model ourselves. I mean, I understand Stack Overflow is more of a forum, but I don't want to model ourselves over towards any of those communities. I think just keeping it like very much like, hey, can I ask this question? And there's no like, please check the chat history crap. It's just sort of like, okay, yeah, let's help you out. And then in a few months, if someone else joins and has the same question, there's no like, please check the chat. Like, that's ridiculous. Checking chat history. So I agree with you there, 100% on the Discord. I would definitely agree with developing it. I think that we should do some other stuff with it. Like, I think the code challenges, like you said, is a good thing. There's like one thing that I always think of doing is adding more of a guided kind of quote unquote professional way of joining the server. So servers of our size will generally have a thing where you're put into a welcome channel and a bot walks you through like, please choose a role, please choose this. And we have roles and we have a bot and all that stuff, but we don't have sort of like an entry procedure. And I thought of doing that, but I don't know if that's adding bureaucracy to something that is sort of an open, like, hey, how's it going? Welcome community. I don't know if that's a good idea. It does add a level of professionalism, but it also adds a level of like institutionalism.
Yeah. And I want to hear back from our community on that, I think. The core members that are listening right now, maybe go into the podcast discussion thread in the Discord, and let's hear from you on what you think we should do for the entry to like people entering. And keep in mind that we do want to keep it as loose as possible. We don't want to have it a 15-step system where you have to select your, who you like, give all your details of who you are, where you're at in your journey and stuff like that. We want to keep it as simple as possible and as quick as possible and as friendly as possible, because we do like that right now everyone goes into the general chat when they first join. And a lot of the time that's a first step into meeting everyone, because people are already talking in there. You're going in there and you can kind of either join the conversation. People will say welcome. I do like that system as opposed to just a welcome chat where no one talks ever. Like every Discord server that I've ever been in, if there's a welcome place where you enter, no one's in there. People are just entering there and then going to wherever they need to go, which I don't know if I like. Again, I'm willing to hear different things from our core community members or anyone really that's listening and wants to just chime in. Yeah, definitely go in there and let us know what you think.
And let us know about anything else too. If you want code challenges, or do you want us to be in there more, or like what do you want? I think too, just as a general thing. Because and any other procedures as well. Like one of the things that I know a couple other servers do is if you sign up as like a Windows dev, it'll lock you out of the other channels. And I don't know if I want stuff like that, for example. Because like that's adding a bit too much institutionalism. But but yeah, just let us know what you want. I think like it's literally a community that grew way faster than we expected. So we didn't have like a roadmap where we're like, at 300 members, we're going to start doing this. Like there wasn't any of that. So. Instagram, total disaster, absolute and utter complete disaster according to our plans. Expectation, at least 5,000 followers. So yeah, I'm open to it. It's a fucking disaster. Reality, 1,568 followers as of writing this document. This is way below expectations. However, the situation completely changed. So we were making very good progress, but then we got shadow banned, as it's called, which saw most of our posts get close to 0 views. Our profile views started falling. Our profile views at one point would go up if I didn't post and go down if I posted. Our posts were getting, 1,000 reach or, close to there, or hundreds of reach. They were getting like 70 reach. Same type of content, same hashtags, that type of thing. I don't want to blame the algorithm or whatever, but there's like definitely shadow banned though. Like there was something definitely going on because I just left it, and all of a sudden like our profile views started going up and stuff like that weeks later. So this straight up resulted in loss of motivation, and I started not posting hardly at all because it was just a waste of time. We used to post at least once a day, if not multiple times a day, and there was also an Instagram algorithm change at some point in there, which didn't help because I'm not up to date on that either. So it's a mess, to be blunt. Now, one of the things I want to say as a general consensus for all our social medias, so specifically Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and LinkedIn's, I guess, in there too, is it's a lot of our content is either like especially on Instagram, is like it's just reposting other people's posts. I think maybe original content would do better, but original content is like a time sink, so it's like you're in there too.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure on that. However, I don't know. I'll let you chime in at this point, Mike, because I've basically laid it out at this point.
Yeah. Okay, so all three of these, if we tackle them all at once, I think our area of expertise, we're okay at it, but we're definitely not extreme social media personalities. And I think that bodes to the fact that we just don't enjoy it that much. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't get any real enjoyment out of posting random stuff on social media. Especially when it's a repost or when it's just like a very simple post. Like, maybe if I was giving like really interesting content on there and I was getting a lot of responses and chatting, like, I do like the community aspect of it. I do like the responses that we get, the comments that we get, but I don't particularly like what we're posting on there for the most part. Now, Twitter is a different one, when we'll talk about that in a little bit, because we have changed our strategy with Twitter, and it might work out, it might not, we'll see. But specifically with Instagram, just like for the most part, what we're doing on there is just taking people's content and reposting. And some of that content is really interesting, and it's really cool. But I don't see the huge value in that. And a lot of Instagram accounts do that, and that's why we kind of went that route. It's low effort and stuff like that. Like, I don't want to, obviously, it still takes effort and stuff, and even just to do something as simple as reposting. So to provide original content is an even higher amount of effort. And what are we really gaining from that? I don't know if it's worth it in the long run. This is a tough one, because how else are we going to gain followers to our podcast? Like, this, our goal with social media is to bring people's attention to our podcast, right? So with that perspective in mind, like, how do we approach it where we don't have to spend a ton of time? Because again, Matt and I are doing our kind of full-time jobs, which are our Digital Dynasty design business. And this HTML All Things podcast is on the side because we don't really generate any income from this in any way, shape, or form. Like, we're getting, a few dollars here and there from Patreon. I don't think we made any money on our sponsorships, or at least as much as we know. It's kind of all just testing and stuff like that. So this really is like it's a really fun thing that we do, and I really enjoy it, and I'm going to keep doing it regardless of what we make on it. But we need to, approach it logically. So I don't know what to do about our social media. Now,
I have a general plan. I'll let you continue, not to cut you off, but I have like a general idea.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't really have anything else to say. I was going to talk maybe about Twitter, but I'll let you do your plan first, and then maybe we can discuss Twitter after.
Well, okay, the big problem with Instagram, and this is going to sound like a whine, and maybe it is that you have to do it on the phone. And that's really great when you're out on the go and blah, 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 blah. But, like, I'm extremely fast, for example, at tweeting because it's on the PC. If I see a piece of news or I see something and I want to tweet it out, or I see, like, a weird trending hashtag that I think I can write a funny little thing about, I can do that really quickly from the computer. It's great to also have Twitter, for example, and Facebook on the phone, but it's more cumbersome to type out and blah, 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 blah. So one of the things I want to do is there are a couple of social media managers out there that will allow you to, well, number one, schedule things, which I've heard is bad in terms of algorithmic thing, but like, I don't know. But another thing is like another thing with it is that it allows you to post from the computer or from your iPad or from like whatever. And so it gives you that flexibility where if I know, for example, that I'm going into something that's going to kill me, so going into the holiday season, if we were posting consistently, there would be like a lull in posts, but I would be able to schedule those posts in and do whatever. So I want it to still be organic in that I am making the posts, but I don't want it to be, I don't want there to be holes in it if possible. So I don't want to remember on December 25th, which is Christmas, that I have to go in and like make a post, right? It's a holiday, like kind of leave me alone is essentially the mentality I have on that type of thing. But I'm totally fine on like December whatever, scheduling the post for December 25th. So I've already put the thought into it. I wrote up the thing. It's just a matter of I'm not going to remember. It's the same thing with our podcast. We record the podcast, I edit it, and all that's fine. But I schedule it for the same time every time because I'm not going to remember to go onto my computer at that specific time and release it. And I'd like the consistency. So consistency, I think, is number one. The other thing too is like I don't mind reposting. Like I know what you're saying, Mike, where original content's probably better, but it is a time sink. I don't mind reposting, absolutely. It gives other people exposure and they're making original content in most cases. So that's really great. I think that's fine. But actually to play off your thing is because we don't have like a ridiculous amount of engagement, I think I think Gary Vee said this or something. I can't remember. I listen to a lot of like people like him, but they like the one guy said like you need to kind of listen on the platform before you kind of speak. And so I just think we need to be on these platforms more. And we're in the generational gap where we're right on the cusp of it. Where if you or I were like 2 or 3 years younger, we would be more social media active, I think. But like, I didn't really get into MySpace that much because people were just working on it like crazy. And I got into Facebook, but all of that was all in high school. So it's sort of like I'm already socially developed, if you will, and then I don't care. So what my issue is not that I don't like it. It's that I don't think of it as something like I will talk to people on my phone and use my phone a lot, but I'm talking to people. I'm not posting about it. I take a lot of pictures because I like to look at them. I don't post about it. So that, in terms of Instagram specifically, and well, the others as well, this applies, is I would like to start developing the habit of going onto social media to the point where, like, for example, I did not use Instagram a few years ago personally, and then I developed the habit of scrolling through Instagram. I think I need to develop the habit of scrolling through Hat's Instagram, scrolling through Hat's Twitter, because I scroll through my own Twitter. I don't post, but I think we're just one little step away. Myself, anyway.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? I need just develop it so then when I'm scrolling, maybe I'm scrolling the Hat one twice a day instead of my own, because who cares about my own Twitter? So
yeah, I agree. I kind of agree with you, and I think one thing that you mentioned with the like following the trend of what's going on currently, that's something that we don't really do. We kind of just do something, hope it works. If it works, then we continue to do it over and over and over until it stops working. That's the wrong way to approach it. I think you're right, where if we're scrolling through it, especially the Hat side, we'll know like, oh, this time memes are popular right now. Yeah. And then we kind of post memes, which sounds so
easy.
Not even easy, but sounds so useless like to the general public. But what else do we have to do? Like the proposal that I would have that won't work, because my proposal is let's stop posting every day. Let's stop, doing random content. Let's generate one good piece of content every week to post on social media and promote that as much as we can. But that won't work. Like it's not possible for a small startup with no notoriety, because we don't have notoriety like a person that's been in the industry for many, many years, maybe Wes Boss or Scott Tolinsky. Like they already had a following before they started their podcast, right? Like they already had people that followed their courses and stuff like that. We don't have that with Matt. So we don't have that ability to be like, oh, hey, we're starting a podcast to a bunch of thousands of people and then post really good content to only those people and then they share your content. We have to start from scratch. So, and to do that, like if we post really good content on Instagram to nobody out there, no one's going to share our stuff because the algorithm doesn't pick up random people. So we have to become someone, and then we can start posting really good content. And I'm really waiting for that opportunity to be like, okay, we're done with this growing stage of like just becoming someone that people check all the time. Now we can become the stage where we can do that, where we can post once or twice a week of something actually good.
Yeah.
Like something that, like an actual guide to something, or an actual, like an image of what we're working on. You know what I mean? Like something that people will actually be interested in. Not that people aren't interested in some of our reposts, because again, they are good content for the most part. But I want people to be interested in something that we're doing rather than something that other people are doing all the time.
Well, the one thing too is what you're saying actually is exactly what our Facebook is. Right now, our Facebook isn't really maintained. It's just more of an accessibility thing. If you're a Facebook user and don't want to move, you can just use Facebook and you can still absorb our content. But all I post on there is actually the video version of our podcast every week. And so I post that in. That's fine. I schedule it in the same time as the Podbean release, whatever, the podcast release on normal, and that's it. And so what ends up happening here is we're seeing a slow growth there because it's all original content. We're certainly seeing a slow growth, which I'll get into soon. But it certainly isn't a lot. And you're right. It's because we don't have that discovery network. We don't have, 30,000 likes or 30,000 followers on the various platforms where when we post it, maybe we only get into 10,000, but that's still getting into 10,000. And then if you go onto a platform like Twitter or Facebook where they can easily retweet or share, now we're talking about, even bigger, right? You don't expect the general public to repost you on Instagram necessarily because it isn't like a two button click thing, but it is to retweet, it is to share on Facebook and Twitter. So it's very much like now if you get into those 10,000, maybe they're going to share it, and then they got 1,000 or 100 or whatever it is, and then they grow. So you kind of need that like base thing. Another thing, actually, as a general consensus for all the social medias, and we're not gonna stop this much for each of the social medias, to be clear. We'll go through the numbers and kind of move on after this. But one of the big things is that we're treating social media like a tool, and I think that's incorrect. The repost is like we're using it like a tool. Like, yes, the content's fine, and yes, it is helpful for some people, and yes, it's a conglomeration, and it's fine. It's totally fine. But the problem is that once, like, especially on something like Instagram, once the person comes to you, it's different than a website. It's different than something else. Where if I'm posting repeatedly about, I don't know, like one guy we used to reshare all the time was a guy named Lomars. If I keep posting about Lomars and someone likes Lomars, they don't come to me for Lomars content. Because it's social media, they click on Lomars's thing, they click follow, and now they can actually unfollow me if they want. They don't need to see double posts in their feed, which is a bit of a problem, right? Like, that's the issue here. Yes, accounts like ours on the Instagram side are really great for like reposting, and retweeting is great. But there needs to be original content, I'd say, thrown in there. That's the issue, I think. Mm-hmm. So I think we're just treating it too much like a tool where we're like, we need followers, instead of being like, hey, we have cool pictures, cool photos, or cool guides, or whatever it is to post. Let's post it and just be consistent if we can, and then the followers will come naturally if it's good content. We're treating it like we need followers. You know what I mean? But you are correct in being realistic that we can't just post to one follower and expect it once a week and expect it to blow up. Our Facebook is an actual real life example of this.
Yep.
So yeah, go ahead.
Fantastic.
What?
Yeah, I don't know what my expectations are for these things. Like, first of all, I think if I was going to set a goal, it would be, I want us to grow on Twitter more than anything, because I think that is a platform to engage with better with developers. I think developers do gravitate to Twitter more than they do Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's just easier to communicate. You can do it from the computer. Like, I do want to increase our Twitter followers. I do want to communicate with the Twitter community more. And I think I'll pass it off to you to kind of explain what we're going to be doing to do that in the future, right now, at least in the immediate future.
Yeah, so I'll go through like my Twitter notes here. We'll go into it. So Twitter is a weird one for us because the posts we see blow up the most result in the least amount of followers, but so the expectations were nothing beyond wanting to grow. So that was our 2018-2019 sort of weird interaction with Twitter. However, the reality is we've grown more once we started posting less on Instagram and more on Twitter. So we're not growing as quickly as we want to on Twitter. So to be clear, what I'm saying is I lessened the amount of posts on Instagram and I raised the amount of tweets on Twitter. And we're growing, so that's good. So we're not seeing that weirdness where the more posts, the less followers, but we're not growing at a rate that I'm happy with. Now, this might be due to the content we post, so maybe we need to change that up. Like Mike said, we got to kind of like listen more than we do speak, if you will. Our engagements, however, have been really great this year. So any sort of engagement we get, people make really great comments, whether they're criticism or compliments or whatever, and we do engage with them, so we're not ignoring people. So that's good. We are seeing that which is good. We just literally need more of that. So our Twitter is going to, and it slowly is, becoming more like a news source. So I think earlier in the show, we mentioned that one of the things that I wanted to do on our social medias was each of our social media channels was going to have some sort of value proposition. There's certainly going to be overlap. Right? We do the same content. We do this, like we're going to post about our podcast across our different socials, but I wanted there to be like a value proposition in following or liking each one of our pages. And so Twitter right now, what we're looking at is Twitter, we're sharing more stories. So Mike's been on there too, and because I used to primarily run the Twitter, so now it's kind of like 50-50. Mike is now, when he sees an article or something like that, which he's doing naturally anyway, so this is like organic content, when he's reading about somebody's post, or reading somebody's like, blog post, or reading somebody's guide, or reading somebody's news, whatever it is, about web or tech, he will, if he thinks it's worthy, he will share it on our Twitter, which is just beneficial for that other person. It's sort of like a repost, but it's organic. It's actually something that he might send to me or might send to another web dev. He's just sending it out to our community. And so that's one of the things that we're doing with our Twitter, or starting to do with our Twitter. And it also will be playing into our website a little bit as well, which we'll get into in the second segment. So we're just trying to basically try different things on Twitter right now. And that's basically where we stand. I'll let Mike kind of comment if he has any comments about that.
Yeah, I don't really want to go too far into it because you covered it pretty good, and we've talked a lot about social media, and I think what this does is lead really well into our website discussion as well.
Yes.
So I'll let you kind of get on to maybe just giving a quick overview on Facebook, and then let's get into the website.
Yeah, so Facebook we've already discussed. Expectation was none. Reality was we had more growth than expected because we started uploading that video version of the show. We're now at 105 likes or 111 follows as of writing this thing, of course. Next thing, I'll just, like I said, move on real quick here. So for the website, our expectation for our website, so htmlallthethings.com, was to have a finished product. However, in the reality of the situation, I should say, is that the plan for the website has completely changed. We're using an all new CMS that we're also using for some of our customers as well. And it's not all new to the industry; it's all new to us. So I'm learning it. And we're also going to be changing up the content plan to better match what Google and the market's serving, and some of the things that we've learned throughout the year with client sites and our own sites and that type of thing. So one of the things that we're going to be doing on the website is we're going to sort of make it a web development hub, if you will. So it's certainly still going to have our website on there, certainly have our podcast on there. You're going to be able to listen to it on there. That's all fine. It's still going to have our own original content when or if we write stuff, where it's going to be on there as well. Of course, there's going to be a community section called Community Spotlight. Like, I think we've discussed this in the past a bit. However, what we're also going to be doing is we're going to be sharing stories on there. So just like our Twitter, we're going to be sharing stories that we see online and sharing it onto our website from across the web. So if we see a cool article on Flexbox, we're going to post that. If we see a cool article on the latest CSS grid, we're going to post that. If Mike sees a cool article on the latest what's a Vue.js, that's a tech you like, so like Vue.js article, and it's like a cool implementation, he's going to share that. And what we're going to do is basically our website is going to become like a news hub. If you come to our website and maybe if you bookmark us, you're going to get a whole bunch of different stories and articles and links to our stuff, to our community's stuff, to other people's stuff. And it's just going to be like, you can come here and it's like a web development hub. It's going to be more like a website. It's not going to be like a Reddit. It's going to be full thumbnails, full formatting. Can't speak today. Full formatting, the whole 9 yards. That's how it's going to be. And it's going to be I think it's going to be a lot cleaner than just constantly posting on social, and it's going to allow us to steer our social as well. Just to kind of touch on that, it's going to allow us to be like, hey, this is a really cool Flexbox guide, let's share it, and then maybe we'll get connected with that person, and then maybe that person will be on the show, and then maybe that person will what I mean? It's this big community thing. So our website content plan has totally changed from our original vision, and we're doing it on a completely different stack as well. So keep an eye out for that in the new year, because that's definitely happening. We're already getting some people to do some stuff on it. Moving on, unless, Mike, you have a comment on that.
Yeah, on the website, I think the content plan will benefit a lot of people because it's not just a random list of news articles and stuff like that. It is curated by myself and Matt. And we could add other people in the future. That's something we haven't really discussed, but it's also possible. Like it will be a curated list. That's also probably will be organized into categories. So you'll be able to, like, if you're interested in just Vue.js, you can see what Matt and I have recommended on Vue.js in the past month or so or whatever. So it will be something valuable, and it is something that Matt and I can realistically maintain. And it is something that will kind of tie into the show really well, because a lot of the time we will probably talk about some of the articles on the show that we have shared and stuff like that. So I think the whole cohesiveness of this project makes sense. Our first thought was like doing our own content all the time to maintain the site's, popularity was a really good one, and I would love to do it, but that requires funding, and that requires time, and that requires, competition with everyone else's content. And it's something that Matt and I don't think we'll have in 2020. Like Matt, we're already kind of really busy on the docket, so we want to do something that's maintainable by both of us. That's something valuable for the community. That's something the community can kind of participate in, because if you want to, if you have something to show, throw it on our Discord and we'll take a look at it, and we might throw it on the website as well. If it's something that you've made yourself, it goes the same way. So if you wrote your own article, we can easily, if it's something we deem worthy, throw it on the website as well, and it'll be good for kind of everyone to grow together and to learn a bunch of stuff together as well. Those are my thoughts on the website. Hopefully that's what it actually provides.
And yeah, and we've had a fair bit of experience this year with more content moderation, content planning, and helping various customers with content management in general, planning through writing, through sharing, through whatever. And so we've learned a bunch because of that as well, just because we've been so in touch with it. Especially me, I've been doing a lot of content stuff recently. So this is kind of really exciting because we're seeing actual results on other people's websites. So now we've learned a bunch, and we're going to be able to apply that to our site and actually create something valuable where you can just come in and kind of see a bunch of good articles that we think are good anyway. Moving on to our YouTube. So YouTube, same thing as Facebook. We just post our video version of our podcast on there. So we would love to do original content. Again, YouTube is a huge time sink, right? We're not like we're not like a YouTuber where we're like that's our job. We have a bunch of other stuff to do, just to kind of constantly be saying that throughout the episode, but that's just the truth. So this is also an example like our Facebook, where we've been slowly but steadily gaining subscriptions over the year. And that's kind of how it is. So we just keep posting, and then people will keep showing up as they want to. It's just an accessibility thing. If you only want to use YouTube for your media, you could still listen to the Hat podcast. That's really the thought behind it. LinkedIn. So this is brand new this year. We've heard that LinkedIn has some great organic reach. So we've been posting about our podcast on there, similar to our podcast tweets. It's not like super maintained or anything like that. However, we do see really good organic movement, or really good organic stats based on what we see on other platforms with their organic stats. So we're seeing a lot of good numbers in terms of our size on LinkedIn. And so I'm just going to continue to do that. I'll let Mike kind of touch on this unless he has anything else to... Or, wait, what? I'll let you touch on it unless I have anything else to say. Yeah, there you go. That's a good one. Continue.
I can't touch
take it.
on
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Mike's
that's
out
fine.
now.
I see how it is. Okay. All right. No, I'm not. You know what?
No,
just because of that, no comment.
Okay. All right, Patreon. We thought our download numbers, as they increased, would actually increase the amount of our patrons. However, they did increase. They did increase a fair bit. However, they were much slower than what we expected. So as a result, I think we need to add more value straight up to our offering to people on Patreon. And I'm going to actually get into that in the second segment because it's kind of a bigger plan. But I'm not blaming anyone for not signing up. I think we just need to make it more valuable. We need to give the potential patrons more for their dollars. So, Mike, please take it away with any comments.
Yeah. So, I mean, I agree with you on the YouTube thing. I would love to do actual YouTube content, but again, like we mentioned many times, it's a time-intensive work. No one's paying us for this, so we can't really invest that much time into it. So I think what we're doing right now on YouTube is kind of what you're going to get most likely in 2020. Now, this could change everything. Like we are very flexible. If we all of a sudden get some sort of funding for HTML or things, or we get some sort of interest in a different kind of pathway for it, where we can dedicate some time to it, I would love to be able to do all these things, be able to do YouTube. I would love to create content. I just haven't been able to justify spending the time on it quite yet. But yeah, LinkedIn, same thing, kind of. It is a good platform. I think people should be on it, especially people looking for jobs. People should be getting connected. I personally, and one of my goals for 2020, I think, will be to be more focused on LinkedIn. I do need to get my connections up. I need to update my profile and stuff like that, etc., etc. And Patreon, I'll agree with you there. We don't provide enough content and enough value for people to sign up for. Just, if they want to support us, that's great. But realistically, you want to give them something in return. And I think when you get into the next segment, you'll understand what we're going to be giving you. So stay tuned for that.
Right. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to just jump in here right into the look into 2020 because we got a web news and stuff like that. And we also have more holiday plans today. So we have a strict, so that's why I'm talking a little bit faster. So real quick, segment number 2, looking to 2020. So already in progress and on the ticket for next year, everything, and just a FYI, everything in this segment is subject to change without warning. So, but anyway, stickers. So we want to bring stickers to our patrons with an all new tier that will include a unique sticker design per month. We also want to reward all of our existing patrons with some stickers that we've already had made up. So we already have some stickers that we made up, and you've seen a teaser of that probably on our Instagram and other social medias. So we will be announcing this in the beginning of the new year at some point. We're still working on the logistics and the designs and stuff like that, but it's already on the go. We already have a design document made up, and we're talking to artists and stuff like that. So basically what we want to do is any of the existing Patreons or patrons, I don't really know what you call them, they're called patrons, but any people that are currently signed up, we're looking at kind of giving them a free gift of some of the existing designs that we've already made up. Now, don't be rushing out there and signing up to our Patreon right away. We're going to announce, we're going to be like, hey, we're ready to start shipping stickers. Here's our little free gift thing to our existing patrons. If you sign up before X date, we're going to give these to you. That's like our free gift to all tiers, and then we'll kind of move on. So, again, we have to find logistics and details out and everything like that, but there's going to be a free gift for existing patrons, and then there's going to be a new tier for a new sticker plan. Mike, if you have any comment about that, that's pretty cut and dry, but
yeah, exactly. I mean, we're gonna have stickers. We're gonna have different designs of stickers. So enjoy, get that, and again, I just want to thank all of our existing patrons. To be honest, they've been great, and a lot of them have retained membership for a very long time now, which has been awesome. But we just want to be able to provide you something of value for the future.
100%. That's it. Is I don't want to be sitting there being like, damn, these people aren't signing up. It's clearly something on our end. So hopefully some stickers, which seem to be a common Patreon thing or a common thing that people buy, will kind of add more to that value proposition, and then that'll actually teach us shipping and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So then we can try to figure out more things in the future as well. That's basically why we're doing it this way, because paper's relatively, as far as I understand it, easy to ship. So, anyway, so new website, we've already said that, totally new website, daily content around tech and more specifically web development. Our site will no longer just house our show notes, but our show notes will still be available there, and you can still listen to them in there. The site's going to look totally different. We're literally going to rip that site out like as if it doesn't exist and spin up a brand new website. We'll be doing a ton of social media coverage on that, of course, so stay tuned on any of our social channels as we slowly work through the process, but there's already people working on it now. This goes also, I almost said this goes without saying, but we've actually said it a lot. So social media presence. So just a quick refresher from like 5 minutes ago. We wanted to step up our game on Instagram again. Definitely Twitter with our current plan. We need to start getting in front of more people's eyes. So that's the biggest thing. We want to sort of reach out and we want to build those download numbers and build up that type of stuff. And so that's what we're going to be kind of trying to do, is try to touch on more topics and get out there in front of more people. And I'd love to start making original content for social media as well. I have an idea for like a UX show kind of, but it's a big ask at the moment. So we're going to focus on the stickers right away and focus on the website. And then once those two are up and running, that's quite a bit of content as it is. And then I'll maybe kind of look at doing a UX show on social or something like that. I kind of think IGTV might be the place for it, but we'll see. But before we go into our sponsor spot and then eventually into web news, Mike, do you have anything to say about the remainder of this segment?
No, I think we've covered it pretty well in the previous segment, like what we want out of each thing for HTML all the things. So yeah, take it away.
All right, well, this episode is sponsored once again by the one membership by Template Monster. One membership, your ultimate web development kit. This includes WordPress and CMS themes, e-commerce themes, powerful plugins, presentation templates, diverse graphics, unlimited installations, 24/7 technical support, and 1 year of free hosting. Use our link, tinyurl.com/HTML all the things, and our unique promo code to receive 10% off. Our code is HTML all the things 10. We receive a monetary kickback for any purchases made using our link and our promo code, and of course, both the link and the promo code will be available in writing in our show notes on our website. Now, I know I'm talking fast, but we got some holiday stuff to literally rush to. So, web news, personal, again, I don't know why I wrote it like this, personal word, I think it's supposed to be personal work related, that's definitely what it is. Personal work related.
You gotta stick to the word related.
Personal work related / Microsoft Word related 2020 goals, changes, etc. So I got two subsections here. Mike, I'll let you take it away first. Take it away.
Sure. For Microsoft Word, I just want to be able to use the better bullet points. Well, I don't like the default bullet points. I'm going to replace the default with something that's a little more high quality. That's my goal for 2020. I want better bullet points in my Microsoft Word.
Get your tab stops. Get your tab stop professionalism up. Fuck.
All right, but in more serious fashion, I have I'm not a huge goal guy. I do go with the flow a lot, and that has been beneficial for me in the future or in the past. So I am going to continue to do that.
Did you go into the future, double check, and then we're like, damn, I should just go with the flow, and then just go with the flow?
That's what I do. That's exactly what happened, Matt. That is Back to the Future. That's exactly what I made a DeLorean. All that stuff happened. Yep.
Nope.
So what main goal for this year is increasing our monthly earning potential. Just straight up, we make more per month. Very simple. I want more money.
Going with the flow.
Matt wants more money. We're gonna get more money. Then I also want to be more involved with the business relations side, which means that I want to maybe go to some conferences. I want to, meet other like-minded people. I want to, connect with them. I want to be able to figure out a way we can help each other. I want to do more partnerships. I want to get involved in the business community, either locally or not even locally. Maybe I will travel a little bit for it. We'll see. Another one is I do want to write a little bit, at least. I do want to do some guides, do some articles. I've been doing a lot of work with Flutter, and I think that that's a good way for me to give back to the community because it is a newer technology, and I want it to grow, so I want to provide content for it so that it grows. Vue.js will probably be thrown in there as well because we're still using that in our production environments. So I do have a lot of little quirks and stuff that I want to talk about with that. And lastly here is get into a better work routine. So instead of working randomly throughout the day or, going a couple of days with a good routine and a couple of days with a bad routine, I do want to get into a more sustainable one where I am waking up at a very set time or around maybe a little bit flexible, but not extreme flexibility where I start work at either 10 or 7 a.m. or 12 or whatever. I do want to get a little bit more rigidity in my schedule because I do tend to perform better when I have that. And I want to get more value out of my time, if that makes sense. I don't want to have to come back to my desk, restart all my IDEs and get back into the coding mindset because that does take me time to get back in, and that's wasted time if I'm just coding straight for 4 or 5 hours rather than getting up and doing some errands and stuff. So
time to learn scripting and learn a batch file that'll do all that for you.
That's another thing too, is that I should learn more efficiencies like shortcuts and stuff like that. I have been getting better at it for sure. I use the refactor shortcut all the time now in VS Code. I'll use the reformat shortcut to make my code look pretty. I do use some shortcuts, but I'm also bad at remembering which ones. So I actually have a sticky note on my desk with 3 or 4 of the shortcuts that I commonly use. And I commonly be like, oh, I used this 5 times today and I still have to look at the sticky notes. So that's something I should get better at. So yeah, I think that's it for me though. What about you, Matt?
So I am still seeking the perfect ecosystem. Slowly starting to use other devices rather than relying so much on my full workstation setups. This includes using devices like tablets and phones to do some tasks remotely, saving me time and delivering some services faster. And hopefully this helps actually with generating more original content wherever possible. So what I'm finding myself doing is I used to always be I'll wait to order this, or I'll wait to email this person or whatever until I have a more, because my workstation, my PC is sort of like the powerhouse where I can click into my PC or my laptop. I can click into my email client or whatever, or use the web app, and I can just type it out. I've got a full keyboard there. It's like the creme de la creme of workplaces that I have, right? That's what you do. I'm sure Mike is the same way. But what I'm finding myself doing now is I'm starting to do things otherwise. So I'm starting to email people back more on phones. I'm starting to do more communication stuff on phones, on tablets. I'm starting to utilize, so I have a Windows tablet that I use almost every day, as is, but I'm starting to actually use it more like a tablet now as well. So like I was using it just basically as like an Ultrabook, because that's basically what it is. It has a keyboard and, right. But now I'm actually starting to use it where if someone needs like support or help or something, and I was supposed to like, I don't know, go like not watch a movie, but if I was supposed to go and brew some coffee or something like that, where I'm not like in the office space, is basically any sort of excuse like that. Now I just kind of quickly open up my Ultrabook and I type that out. Or sometimes people will ask for, little quick configuration changes late at night. And let's say I'm not doing anything before I want to go to sleep. I used to just be like, I'll wait for tomorrow and I'll do it tomorrow on my desktop or on my laptop, whatever I'm working on that day. And it just ends up piling up where something else comes up in the morning. And now there's like, oh my God, I keep forgetting these little things. So I'm starting to just sort of keep the tablet even more available than it already was. And I'm starting to just like quickly open it up, spin this thing up really quick, send all the stuff up, whatever. I even have a new iPad. I received it for Christmas, so I have this new iPad here, and I've been starting to use that a little bit. I want to keep it as a more personal device, just because I just don't want to receive the constant notifications for work stuff. But
you're switching to 100% Apple.
100% not doing that.
I'm calling it end of 2020. You will have a MacBook.
I just got Galaxy Buds. I just got Galaxy Buds.
You will have the new AirPods Pro or whatever they're called. Like you're gonna have everything. That's it. I'm calling it. As a company, Digital Dynasty is now switching to only Mac products.
I will literally never do that. Literally never do. This thing makes me panic. I've like called my buddy Ryan like 4 times. I'm like, I just opened up a multitasking window. Like, what the hell is going on? Or like, why are my widgets only on the left? Like, what the like? Apple. Anyway, it is a better. iOS is or iPad OS, or what do they call it, is a really good tablet OS. In my opinion, better than the Android one, etc. So that's why I prefer this. But anyway, so this is more my personal device, but I have actually done some server configs on this because I was already on it. Someone emailed me and I'm like, it's like 2 commands, whatever, and just quickly do it. So yeah, so that's sort of what I mean, ecosystems in that. Now we also have Google Homes throughout the house. So I was sent a free one from Google for having YouTube Premium throughout the year. We bought some furniture, and that gave us a free Echo Show. I received two Google Smart Screens, and we already had 3 Google Smart Home Minis, or Google Nest Minis, as they call them now. So literally everywhere in the home, you can talk to Google, and I've done this several times now, and I've done this at other people's houses where I need to do math. Math is like a big one for me, and I'll just yell like Google, like what's this plus this, in other people's houses, and they're like, what are you doing? Like, oh, don't look.
That's pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. Yeah. The only thing I never yell out is for Alexa, because she's a little bit dumb there, but well, okay, here's a dumb thing, real quick. I know this is off topic, real quick. I'm upstairs, and the door to the home is up there, okay? I receive a package to the door. Do not light up with a yellow light and tell me there's a notification letting me know that it was delivered. By default. Is that a useful feature for apartments and stuff like that? 100%. P.O. boxes? 100%. I'm pretty sure they know this is a home. Don't let me know. So anyway,
wait. I'm not understanding. What don't you want to know that it's been delivered?
I do not want to know it's been delivered because they bring it to the door.
Yeah, but sometimes you don't hear the door.
Oh, and at Christmas they didn't knock, which is good.
That's they don't. They literally never knocked at Christmas, not once. That's a big thing because it's that second of wasted time. I've had it where they left like a note, like you have to go pick it up at the post office.
Oh, that's weird
because they didn't knock. My dad was literally sitting in the same room as the door, and they like ran to the door, slapped the note on, and then ran back to the truck and drove away before my dad could get up off his chair.
Probably too much to fit in the truck, and they didn't want to say it, so they just
maybe So regardless, it's weird. But
seasonally,
so you don't want to know that there's a package at your door?
I don't when. I'm starting to realize this might be a ridiculous complaint. It's because like I'll sometimes hear the door open or whatever. They'll put it in the screen door. I'll hear that door. or they'll knock, whatever, and then I'll receive it. I'll then come down to the office, and then like Alexa's sitting there with their little spinning like yellow light, sitting there like, you know, spinning away, being like, hey, like you have a notification. It's like, I've already received this. It's probably a dumb complaint. Maybe it's a dumb complaint.
That is the most first world problem.
Yeah. I'm not.
That might be the most first world problem I've ever heard in my life.
It's not life affecting.
I don't know,
but actually,
but fair enough. Okay.
Paying attention to UX is starting to ruin me. It's real bad. Like I'll be sitting there and be like, this menu does not have an exit option. Like, or like this menu doesn't take me to where I need to be. There's only one place I need to be in the system, and now it's gonna manually make me go there. Like, just leave me alone. Anyway, that's just me. So I'm starting to work on this, little efficiencies, stuff like that. I'm also working on, and have been working on last year, but like it's picking up now, passive income initiatives. So like I said, I already started in 2019 with a good amount of success and continuing big time into the future. Spun up some new stuff and blah, 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 blah. So we're just doing passive income initiatives in 2019/2020. Also, as we already mentioned, putting professional social media and community engagement into my routine. So I don't want to treat it like a task that I never get to. So it's one of those things where I'll be like, I'll do it tomorrow, and it just keeps becoming that. And there's no customer there that's going to eventually call me angrily because I didn't post on Twitter. So like I just keep treating it like that task that keeps getting put off. So I want to make this a part of my routine where maybe if I'm checking Instagram 4 times a day, I do 2 personal and 2 work ones, but I want it to be natural. I don't want it to be like that because that's another task-like thing. So I'm starting to do it a little bit now. I've shared a couple stories on Twitter and I'm getting it. I'm also preparing to do the content for the website, which is like sharing some of the third-party stories and guides. And so I'm preparing in that way as well, which is nice. So I am getting a little bit of that, but it's just a matter of making it a part of that routine. Like I said, I didn't use Instagram a couple years ago, and now I use Instagram personally all the time. So it's just a matter of getting it into that and getting into that mindset. So really, I think what it boils down to for me is a lot of this is actually just efficiencies. So passive income is an extremely efficient way of making money because you're not doing anything or much to make it. The ecosystem stuff and using different devices and not relying on a certain devices in a certain place is a huge efficiency. And then, of course, making something part of your routine is a major efficiency as well. I think everything is coming down to the point where I just want it to be efficient, where I don't need to do much. And Mike and I have actually already discussed having an app for our phones that would connect to our website, and it would just be an app for us, where we could share links with just a few clicks. Like, because I'm doing kind of the UX planning right now, and that would be absolutely perfect. It would save so much time and so much aggravation to just be able to like click, share, done, and that's it. And then you'll do it. Then you'll end up doing it. That barrier to entry is so low. So I think 2020 for me, efficiency is kind of the main title.
Cool. That's that's a good goal. It's a loose goal, so you can use it in different ways. So I like it. I like that goal.
Cool.
Let's use your efficiency to increase our monthly earning potential. Also, get those bullet points in your Microsoft Word better. Like,
Damn
you can't have those shitty
and the tab
points.
spots. You know what? I'm leaving it in the show notes now. If you're reading this, you're getting personal Word-related 2020 goals, changes, and etc. instead of work, because, that's just the way it is. Yeah, actually, what's great about this is when you messaged me last week, I thought we were going to do this episode before Christmas. So I wrote up these notes, which is why some of the numbers are a little bit like a few days old, heaven forbid. But I wrote this like I was just on a tablet. I just had another tablet beside me. I just started using both tablets. Cool. So already getting started. Like this is crazy. And then Google's translating stuff for me and stuff. It's fantastic. So I'm entering the future. I am personally entering the future. So I got my Galaxy Buds now with my passive thing, so I can hold it down like a secret agent, and I'll be able to hear the people talking.
I do love that feature.
And
I need to get myself a pair of those.
Literally, well, they're making allegedly ones that are super long lasting now. That's the next generation of them. So maybe that. But
wait for that.
But I mean, like I'm good. I have Jaybirds, and I got a Sony headset back there. I got Air Dots. I have Samsung Galaxy Buds. I have a SteelSeries headset on my head right now that uses a disgusting headphone jack port. So, yeah. But I feel like I've been talking a mile a minute, and it's probably due to the fact that I've had about 8 cups of coffee, which were actually only 2 or 3 cups of coffee in this massive mug I received for Christmas that's sitting right in front of me. But anyway, slightly off topic. Mike, do you have anything else for this year-end roundup?
No, I think that's it. I think thank you everyone for listening to us this entire year, and we hope that the next year you'll be with us, and we'll see where we go. I'm excited for 2020. I think it's gonna bring a lot of cool things.
And we're actually already getting people to do stuff. Like what we've learned is, instead of relying on ourselves to just be like, yeah, we'll do it for sure this time because we didn't do it in the past. Now we actually put money on the table, pay other people to do stuff like the artist and whatever. And so now we're actually motivated where we're like, damn, we paid for this. We better actually use this thing. So we know how to hold ourselves hostage and get things done. So the website and the stickers, get ready. And we'll be announcing all that stuff on social as we will. But I'm going to conclude this episode and apologize for the fast talking if it was a bit too fast. Thank you for listening, and make sure you don't miss an episode by subscribing on the platform of your choice as I talk faster. You can follow us on the socials via @HTML all the things. That's on Facebook and Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter via @HTML everything. We're on Medium and we're on GitHub, and we're also on Patreon. That's patreon.com/HTML all the things. Check out the tiers, give that a go. And many thanks to our $3 tier patrons, Sean from RabbitWorks JavaScript. You can find him at youtube.com/RabbitWorksJavaScript. Garrick from Local Path Computing and Web Design. You can find him at localpathcomputing.com. Craig, a.k.a. Cosworth. Ryan Gatchell from Blue Black Digital. Find him at blueblackdigital.com. Chris from Self-Made Web Designer. Find him at selfmadewebdesigner.com. And Tim from The Web Hacker. Find him at thewebhacker.com. Feel free to leave a comment or a review on the platform that you're listening to this on. And we are signing off.